everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the next session. I'm excited there are so many people interested in playing Lego. Yeah, just a few words about me. Very loud here, like Helga. A few words about me. My name is Sinisha. I'm the CTO of a company called Risk Consulting, located in Cologne in Germany. I'm doing mainly Citrix stuff for about 16 years now, and this is my second speaking engagement at E2UVC. The first one was in Berlin. I don't know if anyone attended the session with Benny and me, so great. We had one slide nearly at the end of the presentation which told you LEGOfy infrastructure, but what we didn't tell you is how you could achieve that, and that is why I'm here today. And let's switch here. That is how I look like when I try to be serious at a customer side. And I normally also like to play Lego. I have a DJ booth at home which is completely built out of Lego bricks, so I have fun with that. Okay, what I want to talk about today is want to give you an idea how you can produce little bricks that you can reuse to build bigger infrastrucures. And I will first of all start with the installation side and then switch later on to automating the configuration side in combination with FF logics. So to start with the topic, I know that's a hard one, but I will explain why this is a very good example at this moment. So if you look at the automotive sector, we started many years ago with construction lines where people were creating cars out of unique parts. And later on, this was done through robots. Today we have new concepts. So Volkswagen, for example, has a concept that's named Modular transverse toolkit. And what it does basically is it creates standardized parts that you can put together to create different kind of cars. So if you want to be the leader in creating automobiles on this planet, maybe it will take a little bit longer now. Then you need to think about how you can reuse parts without every time inventing the wheel to create a new car. BMW, for example, is trying to use 60% identical cars in 3, 4, and 6-cylinder models. This leads also to the fact that you don't need to recreate every single part if you want to build another motor. When I was a young boy, if you look at BMW, we had the 3, 5, and 7 series, I think. Today we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, X models, whatever. This wouldn't be possible if you are not modularizing the way you build your cars. And why are they doing this? Yes, it's because of cost reduction reasons and the ability to use plants you have in place to build different kinds of cars on the same production line. So why is Volkswagen a very good example for how you can maybe be the biggest car manufacturer in the world, and also in negative ways how you can screw it up? So,
well, they did use the same software in all their cars, so
yeah.
I'm not sure that was the best example.
I think it is because of that point. So if you produce a big amount of cars and you screw things up, so you have massive damage. Toyota, for example, has also problems. In the same time, I think they had problems with 8.4 million cars where the electronic window openers were not functioning like they should. So every big manufacturer who's modularizing his products has the same problems if he screws up. So let's look at our business infrastructures today. So in the past, we didn't have to take care about how we were building stuff, because we had our own data center, our own infrastructure, where we didn't take care about if we need to be able someday to put everything together and put it, for example, in the cloud. So we had many different teams. They were installing, for example, SQL servers. You had a Citrix teams. Nobody was caring about the other. And I think we need to change this this sort of thinking from a technical perspective. So what are the challenges today? So if you look at big companies, IT is more and more the business driver. So if IT is not supporting our processes in terms of production or selling things, we are losing a lot of money. But on the other side, we have the problem that budgets are constrained. So we need to do more with less budget because, you know, clouds come up like Office 365, they maybe cost a third of that what you normally need to get that up and running in your own infrastructure. And additionally, security, reliability, availability, these are all things that come up every time, and that's the reason why I think we need to rethink how we build infrastructure. So, how we did in the past. We had servers, we had storage, we put them together in a certain kind of way. You all know that well, so I won't get too much detail on that side. Today we are able to optimize this sort of infrastructure. We can use the cloud to get rid of the whole hardware stack, or we can use hyperconverged to simplify the solution stack. Like I said, if you start building bricks, you automatically need to think how to deploy these things, and you need to automate everything to be effective enough. So let's talk about automation. Like I said before, where are the gaps? So I have customers who need 2 weeks to implement a new server in their data center. So if you think about you need to be quick because of a project change or something like that, you're not able to handle that. Because some guys deliver that, then comes cabling, and after that the VMware guys started maybe installing a hypervisor, so a lot of time flows by where you can't do anything. And one of the main problems that are we humans, because we think what is okay, but that is the problem. For example, I don't know how many of you have ever written an installation manual, maybe 50, 60 pages, and gave it to a colleague and told him, install that. And on the 5th page you say, or you think, oh, what a dumb ass, that's bullshit, I will do it in another way. So stability is lost at that place. You are not able to reproduce infrastructure components if you do not automate it. Yes, you know, no cloud with automation, so if you want to go to the cloud, you need to automate everything, because it wouldn't be a cloud if it isn't so. And if you start automating, you should think about parameterization of everything, because the main the concept should be that every package that you create should be as modular as possible, so you can reuse it in different scenarios, and not to have one package that is built for one specific reason. So let's look in a very simple way how we could define bricks. So this is a very simple example. I have a PowerShell script up there. You start an MSI with an argument, and that could be one brick. So if you look at your infrastructure components you need, you can create simple bricks that you are able to multiply maybe. If you look at an RDSH server, for example, with XPS viewer in that case, if you look further, you could create from these small bricks a bigger brick that you can put on your infrastructure components, so to be able to, like you play Lego, you take the bricks you have and start building new things. And we can go even further if you wanted to install Ownset VDA, you would start putting another brick on it and install a Visual C++ redistributable on it. So, who of you knows what the PowerShell app deployment toolkit is? Has someone saw it before? One? Okay. This is a very cool thing because that what I showed you before are very simple scripts. So it's okay if you use it at home in your lab or for a small company with maybe 1 or 2 servers, but it's not enterprise ready. If you want to go further, you need additional functions around it. So like extensive logging, for example, or like pre and post routines that run before you install an application or you uninstall it. For example, the PowerShell deployment toolkit is capable of checking which processes are running in front of an installation, or the user can configure if he wants to suspend the installation for a certain amount of time. So I think this is a very good good example how you can define these bricks in a more enterprise-ready way. And if you look a little bit into it, it's hard to read. I think here's a storefront 64 exit that is started with arguments in an installation phase. You have a deployment script, and here are functions that you can customize for your needs. And if the application starts, you get a pop-up, if you like, so that you have these features that you maybe, for example, missed in a system center environment. And on the other side, we have extensive logging in here. So all these logs are CM trace compatible, so you can use it with your system center resource kit to open them and to be able to see what really happens. What do we do next? If we have started creating these small bricks, we need to put them in some way together to make a solution out of it. So it's not that we install maybe only one server, we need to build up a complete infrastructure. The possibilities are simple. Like I said, you can deploy one script, the simple script. You can use the PowerShell app deployment toolkit packages to integrate them in your existing electronic software delivery products. The idea behind that is not to use a specific solution, like when you use FrontRage, you have maybe eScript you're using, so you are very limited if you want to change your manufacturer you're using. So you should always be able to interchange these packages and put them in the solution you have right in place in that moment. But you can also use them with PowerShell DST. There is a package in the Windows process resource, for example. The first one is only handling NSI packages, I think, and with the Windows process resource you can start these Windows PowerShell app deployment toolkit packages again with the existing Excel that is bound to that package. What we also need to take care of is the installation order and dependencies. If you look at the manual installation of Excel Desktop 7 server, you mount the ISO, start the installer, and want to install a VDA. Then, if you don't have all the prerequisites in place, it will start installing them. But from an enterprise perspective, that is not what we maybe want, because we want full control over the infrastructure, and many components that are installed in front of the installation, if you make an uninstall, reside on the system. So we have no control really what's happening. And what we also need is a sort of versioning of all our packages and builds we are deploying. Because if you do not have a development acceptance production stage, for example, where you are able to test new things, you will run into errors in your production you maybe cannot handle that easily. So you need to take care of that. Now let's look at an example at this place. I've sent Desktop 7.6 for that example with the Citrix license server, storefront controller, and server VDA in place. If you look what you need to install for that, we have about 72 different Windows Server roles, sub-roles, and features, 5 different Visual C++ redistributables, and 14 different Citrix components. There are things like hotfix 2 for the controller, Citrix Studio, and so on. If you put it in an action table, then you have something like this. So the green ones are components or bricks that are used on every system I need. The orange ones are used more than once, and the blue ones are unique. And if we look a little bit abstract to it, it would look like this, that you have bricks that you put together on the systems you need to get the infrastructure up and running. So if you look further into it, we now have 39 unique bricks. We have 80 bricks, 38 bricks that are used more than once, 14 bricks that are used in every system, and they're about 42% unique. So if you look back at the beginning, where BMW, for example, tries to create 60% same parts in their motors, we are not that bad in efficiency. But we need to look a little bit globally. So every package that we have created here, for example, the Visual C++ redistributables, are maybe used on other infrastructure systems in our data center. So you can reuse them. And if we look at the unique ones, for example, we have created bricks for the RDSH role with remote assistance and desktop experience. So maybe your boss comes to you and says Citrix is too expensive, VMware has made a great job and we want to switch to VMware. Then you would take the bricks that you created in front, would pull the Citrix parts out of it and reuse all of that RDSH stuff that you have created. Let's talk about cost. So everyone knows that packaging needs time. So especially when you have complicated applications. And versioning and staging are also cost drivers. So you need to be able to roll back specific versions that takes place in our storage environment. And you need to implement processes to get all these changes up and running. So as a small example, where I want to show you the differences in time when you do stuff manually, like in the left upper corner, there's a server manager where I click the web server role together. I have here, I open a PowerShell console and do a add Windows feature web server. And in the left below, I have prepared a little script. You see it, maybe it's hard to read. So what happens is, if we start an application, and that is a very small example, we see that the installation here is already running, here also, and here I'm still clicking.
In that bottom right-hand corner, it might be useful to have a window with the time it took you to write the script.
It took about that time. So you open the window, click Save, and that's done. So you see the first one that finishes, it's a PowerShell script, the second one is the console, and the third one is running for about 47 seconds. So the script took 28 seconds, the console took 34 seconds, and like I said, 47 seconds if you do it manually. If you now add the time for all the other components you need to install a storefront server and configure it maybe, that's as much of time you need if you do it manually. And if you have more than one storefront server, or you have 2 data centers where you need to implement 4 of them, then you can imagine how much time that takes. So let's talk about problems within that. Best example, shitty applications are always a problem. So there are applications in place that you cannot automate. So they're all self-written or whatever. These things will take time or lead to the point that you need to think about application virtualization or layering to get it up and running. So what we were lacking in the past was a little bit of how do you automate application virtualization packages? You need to sequence them, deploy them, build an infrastructure. It adds additional complexity. But if you have to do it, then you have no chance to change that. On the other hand, like I said, admins that do stuff manually, you need to take care that that administrators are not able to do stuff manually on the systems. As long as you're in a development environment, for example. So if you have staging in place, you should take care that development changes are possible to administrators. But if you package the application and deploy it to the pre-production or acceptance environment and production, no changes should be made to that applications ever. Additionally, a lack of documentation is a problem. So I think Project VRC stated that 38% of the guys are doing manual installations in their PBS images. So remember, imagine what happens if you do that for 1 year. You have made manual changes to your PBS image all the time, have nothing automated in place, and the guy says, I'm going somewhere else, or it's hit by a car or something like that. You have no chance to reproduce what he has ever done. That's a real problem. And the problem is time. I have many projects, so it's not so technical, but where you have to take care of milestones. You have automated everything in front, and the project manager comes and says, it's no matter how you do it, tomorrow you have to be done, and do it manually. So this breaks your processes. Like I said, monitoring and staging is a must. So if you don't do it, you will get in real trouble. And the point below, I already spoke about that. So what are layers in that construct? Layers are only a brick. So if I look at this brick, this could be a layer where I install, again, software into it. I think App Volumes is capable of being automatically created to be able to create a task sequence to install applications on top of a layer, seal it, and deploy it to the users. But in my opinion, you should try to keep the virtualization products as low as possible, because everyone adds additional complexity. So I heard from VMware that it's very simple. You create a layer, install your application, and shoot it out to the users. Mm-hmm. But that's, again, the problem. You're not able to reproduce it if another one is doing that again. It might look different. So let's talk about configuration. You should try to avoid hard-coded configurations in operating systems and in packages. You should always divide these points, because it leads to the point that you have not generic packages you can use on other points of your infrastructure. And for the configuration part, you could use scripts that you run in the back, so maybe a PowerShell app deployment toolkit that does things. You could create GPOs or use absence if you want to manage your user environment. Or you could use FSLogix. So I won't go too deep into it, because you will talk about it in the next session, and it's really cool features that are there. But if you would install FSLogix on our systems, then we would have to create 2 more bricks. So you need a C++ redistributable, and you would create a set of Excel with these switches to get it up and running. So who of you has worked with FSLogix before? So you know there's a rule creator installation you need to do to be able to create these rules. But if you talk about automation and creating bricks, this is not what's the preferred way. So I have a... Questions? Okay. I don't know if you can see it. I have a pre-production version that has a new feature, and the new feature is called Create Rule Set. So what you can do with it is, if you look at the features you have, you can, where I am, So that's the add rule, sorry. There are two features I'm going back. There's the add rule feature. This creates rules system-wide on your system you're running the AppLogix agent on. So we're not talking about the rule editor you need, we are only talking about the agent that is installed in that case. So if I look what I can do with that, I can create rules that I cannot assign to users in that moment, but I can make system-wide settings. So I could, for example, hide the Windows Store if I don't want it the users to be able to run it. But the other interesting thing, I think, is the create rule, and that's a new one. I don't know if it will be available in the next version of the product, but I think it's super cool because you can run on an endpoint where the agent is installed a command to create automatically hide rules or redirect rules, for example. So what you need for that, you need the locations of the uninstalled strings for the application. So there's the 32-bit and the 64-bit, and you need the install path of the installation. And if I run a PowerShell command to get me the name of the application and the GUID, so this is the command above, I can use this information to automate stuff. On the next slide, I have the example for the 7-zip install directory, and with these 2 points, I can automate the rule creation for FSLogix. So I'm going here like starting the FRX agent, create rule set with the install, with the location of the rule. I'm putting it here directly in the rules folder, so when the rule is there, it automatically is bound to the system, and you are not able to see, for example, the Citrix Studio anymore in that example. Yes, and you can see after you run the command, I've created a rule here, so it's available. What will be created in the next version also is a chance to create assignment rules, so that you are able to create another option to bound the rules to specific user groups. So and here you see, normally there should be a directory with the name Desktop Studio is not available anymore. So this is a very cool feature, how you can run automated configuration of your systems in terms of things you don't want users to see. And, for example, you can run an Office 2010 installation, hide the installation or redirect the installation, we will show that, I think. Install Office 2013, and install it into another directory with the redirection, so you can install them together. What you have done, now we created a configuration brick that we can now use to assign it on top of the installation brick. For example, yes, it's only just to give you an idea how we can do things. What about additional things? Like I said, every component should be as generic as possible so that we can reuse it on another, for another customer or at another system, to be able to automate installations of different infrastructures. We should separate the installation from the configuration, as always. We need to take care of the change processes for the staging and the versioning, and we should take care that every virtualization layer that we add adds additional complexity to our environment. So I was pretty fast now with my presentation because I'm nearly at the end. I have additional information here about the app deployment toolkit and PowerShell DST and FSLogix. So do you have any questions, or what do you think about that concept?
think it's a very interesting concept. I like it a lot. My question would be, is there value in having a repository where you can put all of these scripts? So what you've shown here is that you can have Lego blocks and you can build something out, and that's brilliant. But that's essentially, you've bought a Lego kit and you've built your thing, right? But then Jim has to go out and buy his Lego kit.
Sure.
Now, if we talk about sharing, if there was a possibility of you, granted you've got to share the Lego kit, which might not be as fun, but can you put the scripts together in a central repository so that if I wanted to install FSLogix, I don't need to spend that time. I can go to a community pool, common pool, where I can make use of someone else's resource.
So I think that is pretty cool, the concept that Chocolatey and Boxstarter are trying to achieve. But the problem is, from an enterprise perspective, if you talk to a chief information officer or a security officer, who wants to download packages from the internet to deploy them in your enterprise?
No, not the packages, the scripts.
Only the scripts.
Yeah.
So the concept of having a script that installs back. So I wouldn't download FSLogix. I would download the script that installs FSLogix, and then I don't need to spend the time doing that particular piece.
Yes, as a brick, that's a good idea.
And that's the type of thing that you can do with Citrix Lifecycle Management, and you can create blueprints that allow people to... But that blueprint concept, not only for Citrix Lifecycle Management, but for the PS App Deploy toolkit, which I didn't know about, it actually looks very cool. It was a nice...
So the idea was that you can actually use these bricks and put them in lifecycle management. You can deploy them in ARA environments to be able to create the same infrastructures on premises or off premises, for example. That is the main idea.
But it would be useful to have a central community resource that we could all access and share scripts and deployment stuff with each other. That would be nice.
Okay. I think so.
We look forward to you finishing it.
I will do my very best.
Excellent. We'll see how you get on in Dublin.
So other questions or experiences, problems you see maybe in that case?
So I've not used the app deployment toolkit, and as Andy says, I've not run into that before, so that's a very good tip. Thank you very much. What was your experience using the app deployment toolkit? Did you find it very easy, very intuitive to use, or did you have to work quite hard to understand it?
What is a little bit harder is one script where you put your pre-installation, installation, host installation stuff into it. So it's a little bit hard if you start with it and you need I don't have it here. You need to put variables in it, like who has created the script, what's the name of the author. You need to fill in variables you may use. Versioning is also as a variable available. So if you start creating these bricks, it's sometimes very hard when you get really big scripts you need to create, and the error handling is you make errors. It's naturally. Idea I have about it is that you maybe create a GUI that does the stuff for you. So you open a GUI that opens the script. You are able to put in variables with color corrections, for example, and where you can edit the parts of the script without having to look at the whole script, because that is very it's not funny. But it's working perfectly, because you can configure if your user is able to postpone the deployment or to check if processes are running. And like I said, you have extensive logging with it. So I feel it's a very good solution, and it's free because it's a community made toolkit.
So I have another question. You mentioned around FSLogix that you could, forgive me if I got this wrong, that you could use it as isolation, so you could have two different copies of different Office versions on a single. So I knew they did isolation for Java, but I didn't know they did isolation for anything else. Is that a recent thing?
So you should stay in for the next session. He will show it how it's.
Is it a recent thing?
What we try to build is to build a single base image, for example, for an RDSH server, install Office 10, Office 13, Office 16, and FS Logic is doing the isolation separation between those Office versions, and also for the user-based file type associations. And this is done using the current version of FS Logic, so it's not anything beta. It's anything which is available today. And this is something I'm going to show in the next session.
I need to catch up on that.
Definitely need to catch up on that. Yes, especially the Office and Java stuff. Definitely.
Was there a specific reason for choosing FS Logic over other application layering technologies? So there's app volumes and there's...
or
was that because you could control it more easily in PowerShell?
That's correct. Yes, I was playing around with it, and I had the idea that you could automate the rule creation. I had some mail contact with Randall, and he said, yeah, that's a good idea, we are working on that. So that was the reason why I took this sort of product.
That's a neat thing, I didn't know.
So you need to imagine what you could do with it, because if you have a running infrastructure and you're rolling out FS Logic, for example, you could script the creation of the rules automatically on your whole infrastructure. So that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, I don't think other layering technologies have that level of control.
So App Volumes does have PowerShell. Unidesk doesn't have any automations whatsoever.
No.
I mean, they don't even have APIs. So
yeah, that's the problem. So this is a really cool feature.
Wow. I haven't managed to test Liquidware. I've just seen demos of their flat tap stuff. It looks very cool, but I've got problems with it. So like their filter driver, their altitude.
Well, now you've started him off.
He's taking over your session.
You take that offline.
Yeah, let's take that offline. Ask me about it later.
Out for a beer.
Yeah. Sorry. Carry on. Don't worry about me.
So basically, I'm done. I'd like to thank you for all your time. I hope it was useful.